Hi, very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf Collectibles. Well, quite been looking forward to this one. So I was in Fleetwood at Jobs Toys and I picked this up from there. I paid about £100 for it. It's a non-runner. It's got some various wires hanging out from underneath. Don't know what's in it, but the plan is to strip this down, see if we can see what's wrong, see if it's easily fixed. If it's not, then I'm thinking about trying to make this sort of radio controlled. So put a speed controller in there, make it battery driven, don't know yet, but also it's such a lovely mechanism on it. It's a wonderful looking loco, and I think I've done alright with the price. I don't think it's too bad, but I'm quite looking forward to do this. So let's get this over to the bench and see how it comes apart. So yeah, could be a bit of a challenge, this one, but enjoyable one. Well, this loco here, this is G gauge loco, I bought at Jobs Toys in Blackpool. There's a video on the channel looking around in the shop. Fantastic shop, you know, real collector's paradise. The kind of shop I always look out for. Lots of things in there, but this one caught my eye. Bought it knowing that it didn't work. It was in fairly good condition. I mean, all the bits were there, and my plan was to do something with it. And I think I said in the video when I was talking about Jobs Toys that I was probably going to make this into a radio controlled unit, but I thought before I start that I'd have a look and see if I can get the thing running. Now, I have actually stripped this down. I did this before I came on camera because I couldn't find a way into it. It's taken me a few evenings just taking screws out till I've got to the point where I can actually lift the body off the chassis. So I'll just do that here. And in the chassis, what we have is a vertical motor that's mounted, and there doesn't appear to be any drive between the wheels and the motor, so I'm assuming there's a pinion gear or something gone inside there. So that's one job to be fixed. Now, I did read online that this is quite common for these locos, so I have actually ordered the new axle and the new cog, so I'm just waiting for that to come in. But also putting this on the track, I'm getting absolutely no power, no lights, no nothing. So what I've done is I've actually pulled the electrics out of the train completely. You can see here we've got a couple of switches on the front and the light, a PCB board that looks like it's seen better days, so that might be where the problem is. Got the firebox lights here. There's two sets, one for underneath, one for inside the firebox. And yeah, I'm just going to plug this in. Literally, I've put a couple of bits of wire onto the connectors. So this would normally go to the track through the pickups. So I'm just going to take this over to the layout and just put some current through it and see if indeed I need a new circuit board or something more major. And as I say, if this is a write-off, what I'll do is I'm going to go for a radio controlled unit in here and make it a battery loco. But let's go and see if the electric works. Right, I'm going to try and do this just holding the camera. So on my G gauge transformer, I'll just turn the power on a little bit, and then I'm just going to hold those two wires onto the track and see what happens. I've actually connected the motor back up, but that's all I've done at the moment. Let's just sit. Well, look at that. I am a lucky boy. So yeah, we've got power to the motor, we've got the flicker on the firebox, and have we got any smoke? I'm not sure. Let's turn the current up a little bit. You see the smoke box is going there. Now you can see the flicker on the firebox there, and look, oh, the smoke machine's working. What a lucky boy. I'm a very, very lucky boy. So I was expecting some major problems here, especially with the state of that circuit board. But it's looking pretty good. Very promising indeed. So I definitely won't be doing the battery conversion at the moment. And I will keep this as DC at the moment. I won't put digital in there. I don't believe there's a sound chip in it, but I will check in the tender. There are wires that go to the tender, but I think it's just sound ready. It's rather than it having a sound chip in there. So I guess it's just a case of maybe it's in here, just looking at the wheels, maybe it's just pick up through the wheels that was causing the problem, or maybe I've disturbed something and you know, one of the wires was shorting and taking it out and straightening it, or maybe something's been dislodged. But yeah, so I think the next step here, I'll wait for the cog to come in on the motor, and then we'll strip all this down, give it a good clean, and then start putting the loco back together. Well, I've pulled the tender apart, and sadly no sound chip in here or sound generator, but the two wires at this end which would normally connect into the light are disconnected, so I will fix those before I put this back together. But yeah, it's in very, very good condition. It just needs a good clean. So yeah, very pleased. Well, I've given this a nice clean over with some soapy water, and it's come out lovely. It's got all the dust off of it, looking much better. Now,
before I put this back together, the rear light that was sitting on the back here, there's no actual bulb in there, but there are wires for it. So what I want to do, I found a little grain of wheat bulb. I'm going to pop this in there. So I'm just going to solder these two wires together. But first, get rid of some of these other wires that are sort of floating around. There's one here and one on the other side. I'll just cut those short, just so they're not floating around. These are, obviously, if you want to put sound in there, I might do this at a later date, but got a sound system in there. They would obviously power your speaker that would sit in the middle here. So let me just clean these wires up. Put the soldering iron on. There you go, it's just warming up now. Right, I'm going to take this over to the railway where I've got the chassis sitting there with the electrics on, and see if that's going to work. Right, well, the first thing to note is I've cleaned the chassis. Again, soapy water, spent a lot of time getting all the grime and grub off of the wheels, giving it a really good oil, and it runs really smoothly now, very, very smoothly, free running. And just to put the power on, you can see the lights are flashing, the motor's running, obviously not running yet because I've still got to fix the drive, but it's actually picking current up through the wheels now, so that's good. Right, I'm just going to make the connection here, which is the connection to the tender. I'll stop the camera for a minute while I do that, and then we'll just see if that rear light lights up when I change direction. Now what I've managed to do is I've soldered the wires on before putting the wires through the hole here, so I'm going to have to separate these again and just resolder them. Right, so I'll tuck those down the hole to start with. Okay, I'll put the tender back on. I'll just take these two screws out, put them in there so I didn't lose them. Okay, and this hooks in at the back, which is this way around, like so. Just make sure I'm not trapping any of the wires. Put this down at the front. Wire cut. Right, one of those steps just fell out, so I'll put that back in. I'll just put a tiny bit of glue on there just to be sure. It doesn't fall out again. Okay, slide that back in. Now the lamp, I just slide that up through the base here, poke that in through there. Okay, it's there. Doesn't appear to be a way up for this, so I'll just push that back in like that. And the lens, which is there, that just sits on the front. Like, oh, look at that round the line, that bit like so. That then drops down onto the back of the tender, and that has this little eyebrow cap to go on. I'm just going to knock this off earlier, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on there just so that it stays on. Like so. Perfect. Okay, that's the tender back together. Put this coal bunker door to go back in. Right, onto the main loco. Okay, so as you've heard, the motor's running. There's nothing connecting the drive wheels to the motor, so I'm suspecting an issue in the gearbox here. So let's drop the gearbox cover off. Right, so we've got a drive cog in the middle there. That is no longer attached to the wheel. So the wheel's just spinning in the inside there. So we need a replacement, axle, I think. Right, let's see if we can get this axle out. I think you have to undo the these two side beams which hold the wheels in place. Okay, that's one side out. Let's undo the other side. Right, just taking a note for myself that before I take this apart, this counterbalance is pointing upwards, this one's pointing forwards. So when I put it back together, at least hopefully I'll get the timing the same. Right, we need to get the counterweights off. Small screw inside there, so I may not have to take the other side out if I can just get in and release it. It might just slide off the axle. There it goes. Right. Okay, I lost the horn block somewhere. There it is. Okay. Oh yeah, look, you can see the crack in the cog there. Right. Okay, slide those two horn blocks off. Right, how do we get the wheels off? Oh, we just pull them off. And that one. So there we go. That's the offending part. It's broken on the shaft there. Right, time for a new one. Right, well, garden railway specialists happen to have the part I needed in stock. Let's just check it's the right one before I... And this is an uprated part, because obviously I think Bachmann are aware that this is an issue on a lot of these type of locos. So obviously you can see the brass cog on here, uprated from the plastic one that cracks and breaks off of the shaft there. So this was £24.99. Not too bad really when you think about the cost of the loco, you know, and to actually be able to get the spares in the UK is also a good thing. Right, I'm just going to clean all this off before I put it back in, because although I did clean this yesterday with a lot of soapy water, there's still a lot of mess on here, surprising amount actually. Right, let's slide that one on. I need to get the shaft lined up, that's it. And then we've got a spacer that goes on as well, like that. Perfect. Okay, just clean this one up, get all the grime off of it. Right, I've got a little bearing there, I didn't see where that came from. Let's just have a check over. Right, so checking around, I wonder where that's come from. That's actually off the shaft on that side. Obviously I don't need that anymore, so that's good. I thought I hate it when you find extra parts as you're trying to put something back together. Right, these go round this way onto here, and this one the same onto here. Okay, the horn blocks, and then they drop down into their springs like that. Perfect. Okay, now we put the, let's do this gearbox casing back up. Okay, that's those in. Right, let's get these back on. So this one, this side, should fit. Yeah, maybe I should have left that gearbox casing on. Okay, let's try this again. So if I just lift up the horn blocks, I should be able to rotate the wheel round till it engages. Right, there's actually a flat on here. So until I get that flat in, doesn't matter what I do. There you go. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Now I should be able to slide that forward. Right, that's one side on. Okay. Now the other side should be a little bit more straightforward. Just trying to line everything up so it all drops in one go, which is quite a little bit of a challenge. So close to wanting to go. Let me just bring this back onto the bench before it falls on the floor. There it goes. Okay, right. So that's all back in. That just needs to line up. I've got the gearbox twisted to one side, put that back in. Now I can put the gearbox casing back on. Now this one should just screw straight in because the screw's already in there. That one's on. Right, that's that in. Okay, finally putting the gearbox cover back on. No, move it all along one. And I think it was round that way. Okay, so that's the brake linkages in. I think I just want to bring that up above. And yeah, there's another broken one there and a broken one there. It's a little bit frustrating. Right, that's the brake linkages in. Okay, and then we've got to put these two back on. Right, I think that's it back together. Let's go and see if it runs. Right, let's give it a little test. Well, it's definitely moving. I'm not going to move it along because obviously all the electrics are hanging off of it. But yeah, I'm confident enough now to go and put the body back on and rebuild the engine. Looking good. Okay, time to reassemble this now. As I said in the earlier in the video, I did take this apart because it took me a few evenings to work out how it came apart, so I didn't film that part. But I'm pretty sure, well, I've got a rough idea of how it goes back together. So first of all, we pull this pin underneath. You see that pin there, and then all of the electrics literally feeding down the boiler. They just slide all the way through. So hopefully this is just going to drop back in, and we can then screw it back in place. Okay, it's working so far. Grab it, that is. Okay, there's the connector for the motor. Right, let me just pull that circuit board through. Okay, and that feeds underneath to here. Right, on the front here, this main circuit board slides in and screws in place just inside the boiler or inside the firebox like so, just so the smoke generator's under the chimney. So I'm going to do that first. Let me just go and grab the screws, but before I do that I'm going to push this pin back up through to the top there. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to put this nut on the top of that thread. I think this just holds the two sides of the boiler tube together. I don't think it serves any more purpose than that. We'll go back on. There we go. Right, and now screw the circuit board in place. Right, that's those two in. You can see how the circuit board just fits in the front there. I'll just clamp those down. That's one. And that's the other one. And then at the front of the smoke box door, just sits on the front and just pushes in like that. Inside here you've got a couple of switches. Don't know what the direction switch does. I think it just literally changes the motor over, and then you've got the smoke on and off. But we'll leave that for now. So that's that done. Right, next let's get the dome on the boiler. So that pushes down over the top there. And this comes onto the side. And it's got a little feature to lock in, a little keyway. Okay, and then we need a screw to hold that down. There we go, that's done. And then we've got a little cap to go on top. Again, just mounts on like so. Okay, that's all looking pretty good. Now, why? Right, and the firebox mounts onto here like so. Don't know which way up it went. I think downwards. Right, so just connecting that into there. Oh, there's it. I was looking for this piece. So this needs to go underneath there. They're my feeds from the track. Okay, so this now needs to slide all the cables up inside. Right, let's try and remount this. there's the smoke box ending. Right, I'm just going to lock these 2 rods back in. The smoke box stays. That's that one in, that's that one in. That's all looking very positive. Let's lift this up again. This needs to come up through here. Like that. Okay, that one needs to come through here. That through there. That one through there. Right. That's better. Okay, I can drop the ash pan back on now, which just has 4 screws to hold it on. I'll try and get it around the right way, so just got to make sure these wires go through that way. That's the brake lever, right. Okay, just lock this down. Okay. Right, now I seem to have misplaced the screw for that, so I need to have a look for a replacement. Now I've found a screw that I think will do the job, and put a little washer on it, so let's just screw this in and see if that works. Oh, magnetic screwdrivers. There we go, perfect. Right, and finally, smoke box door. Right, there's one final job, which is there's this little link rod that runs, well, it's basically for the valve gear, and there's a tiny little screw that drops in to link it together. I don't know how the best way to do this is. Probably get the screw into the hole first. Right, that's in. What a troublesome little fiddly thing that was. Right, so that's essentially the loco back together. I'm just going to mind that front truck again. Get this back on. It's fallen off where I've been tipping the loco over. Let's line it up. Shut the door. Okay, let's go see if it runs. Now, one thing I didn't anticipate is the size of this engine on my layout, and unfortunately it is moving, but it's far too wide to go round. Obviously it's getting caught on the bridges and things, so it's not going to run on this layout. So what I'm going to do, pleased to see it running, it's gone back together quite nicely, but I'm going to put up a little bit of temporary track just to do a little bit of filming of it moving back and forth. Well, I've set up a little test bed here on the, this is normally the test bed for the other locos, 00 locos. I'll just put some G gauge track down on it from the garden railway. I'll just show you it running past. Look at the mechanism on it. What a lovely runner. Really, really nice engine. Not so good in reverse. Little bit, cogs are a little bit lumpy, as you can hear. But absolutely fine going forwards. Unfortunately, I can't stretch its legs because, yeah, I just don't have enough track, and unfortunately, I've not managed to get the smoke generator going to any depth. It is running, it is picking up current, but obviously I need to run the loco because it's on DC. I need to run it for a lot longer for it to get the heat in it, and the track's just not long enough. Tender looks pretty good. That's all gone together quite well. I will try and get a little bit of footage to show you the light working on the rear. Certainly the light is working on the front, which is all good. Let me just show you that. You can see that if I just give it a little bit of power, you can see the light come on the front there. Well, I'd like to pose a bit of a question. So if you go and search for this on eBay, if you type in Bachmann 280 loco, right at the top, Rails of Sheffield actually have one of these, the Deadwood Central, for sale. Now, their example, missing a lot of bits, looks like it's been trodden on, it's in a right old state, but they're asking £495 for what is a pile of bits. Now, I don't understand that. It's a lovely loco, but you know, to command that kind of premium, I want to pose the question: is this actually something special? I mean, I wouldn't have valued this more than, you know, I would have said maybe running £300 tops. But is this a rare loco? If somebody can enlighten me, I'd be very grateful. As I said, I paid 100, and I think about 110 I paid for this, and I've put a £25 cog in there, so I'm in for about £135. So I'm really pleased with it. I think you know, it's a superb looking loco. It's going to look wonderful going around the Garden Railway in the summer, and yeah, I think I've done pretty well. But I'm just intrigued whether this is actually something a little bit more special than I realise, or whether, you know, maybe Rails of Sheffield have got their pricing slightly wrong on that one. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Have a look at the channel. There's lots of videos on there, lots of restoration videos and lots of model railways, basically anything that interests me. And if you can subscribe, I'd be really grateful. And with that, I think we'll leave this one there. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.